Loading preview. All right. Okay. All right, I've hit go live. Let me know if you can. You might have to refresh the page.
Oh.
It's looking promising. Cool. Can you hear me? There'll be a bit of delay on my voice. You getting audio?
Oh wait, I'm miles behind. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah, you will be a bit behind. It's good to turn the volume up fairly loud on that, but like sometimes you can just take it off as well. It will be like the stream will be like, just about to take place. So for any of you that logged in, feel free to post in the chat box, which you'll see to the right of the YouTube stream. Yeah, my colleagues will be introducing themselves on there. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. We'll be starting in about 3 minutes' time, 1 PM. So yeah, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
Kind of thing. So, you know, cool. How's the volume on the speak? Is it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds good. Nice and clear. Cool, good stuff. Yeah, there will be a bit of lag on that stream, but that's normal. Yeah, you'll be around the same point. Yeah, I think the chat is no lag though. So yeah.
So good.
All right. Hello there, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in, and welcome to Point Blank Music School. So, my name is Chris. I am a course content developer here, and I'm going to be guiding you through the virtual learning environment today. So, the virtual learning environment, or VLE for short, is basically the central hub for like a lot of the learning that will take place at Point Blank, and it's from here that you'll be accessing your course notes, submitting your assignments and reading your assignment briefs, booking your one-to-ones, and a whole lot of other stuff. So there's going to be quite a lot to cover in this session. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned throughout. I've got a couple of assistants who are going to be helping me out today. I've got BB and Ollie.
Hello.
BB works in the admissions team and Ollie works in the education team. And you'll notice that there's a chat window to the right of the stream that you're watching. BB and Ollie will be on the chat. So feel free to like ask any questions you might have along the way. They'll be able to answer anything you have, and I'll be able to answer questions as well. Like I said, there's going to be quite a lot of information to take in. It's worth bearing in mind that this stream will actually be archived, so you'll be able to watch it back afterwards. You know, because there's quite a lot going on. So yeah, and the chat will also be archived, so you can see which questions got answered and everything like that. So let's get stuck in. You'll see here that I'm on Point Blank's home page here. So for those of you that are logged in, you'll recognise this page, and if you were to log in, where it says log out there, there'd be an option to log in. I'm actually logged in already as a test student account, which I'll be using to kind of demonstrate a lot of the features of the VLE. So first of all, let's look at my home, which you can see I'm hovering over here. This brings up a menu with study essentials, essential program information, the library, my London courses, which you'll all be able to see, and then my online courses, which obviously as you're not online students, you won't be able to see, and then edit profile here. And basically I'm going to go through all of these menu items one by one. But first off, let's click on my home. And here you'll see our test account, Joe, with a picture of someone who you may recognise if you watch our YouTube channel. That's Ski Okafor, head of curriculum, who does all the kind of track deconstructions. Nice picture of him there with a haircut that looks like it's actually his haircut, but it's actually a tree. I thought he got some wacky hairstyle when I first saw that photo, but it's just a tree coming out of his head. And yeah, so again, all the menu items we had up here, you'll see down here. I'm going to start off by clicking at the bottom here, edit profile. This is something you should all do kind of first thing when you log into the VLE. Yeah, so as you see, there's a place to upload your picture here. You can simply click and upload a picture of yourself, or you can drag and drop an image there. I definitely recommend having an image of yourself on the VLE. It's quite nice to put a kind of name to a face, although obviously as you're in London, a lot of you will be mingling and meeting each other at school anyway, but it's still kind of worth doing for any online interactions that you'll have on the VLE. So as you scroll down this page, you can see that you'd be able to fill in your personal details. It's all fairly self-explanatory. Contact details as well, it's probably worth putting your email in here. Skype's more relevant for online students, I wouldn't really worry too much about that. Something that's very important on this page actually is here, where in additional details, where it says time zone. You can see mine defaults to the correct one, which is London. As of course you're all studying in London, it's important, no matter where you're from in the world, that you put London as your time zone here. Basically, there's a couple of things that you'll need to book through the VLE. These are the one-to-ones with instructors, and if you're booking studio time as well. So you need to be in the right time zone to make sure that you're actually booking stuff for the right time. You don't think you booked a room for 1 when it's actually 2 PM, turn up and someone's already using it. So that's very important. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that your time zone is set to London. And then moving a little bit further down the page, we have the newsletter here. You can tick that if you want to receive notifications, or newsletters rather. And then just below that we have the notifications here. So you can see by default these are all ticked. I definitely recommend receiving notifications. This means you'll get emails when people have posted announcements or posts in the forum. Again, we'll be looking at announcements and forum posts later, but I definitely advise having notifications ticked. So that's that for edit profile. You can also change your password. Just make sure if you made any changes to this page that you do actually click submit in the bottom right hand corner here. Otherwise your changes will not be saved. So heading back to my home, yeah, let's look at the study essentials next at the top of this list. So I'm just going to click in there. So there's two ways of accessing stuff. You can click on my home here, or maybe it's slightly quicker to actually use the menu items here, but whichever works for you. So the study essentials, you'll actually have access to this already, so if you've logged in at any point you might have seen these before. These are essentially foundation curriculum that are available from the minute you kind of first get your login to our website. It's definitely worth checking these out before you start. There's a lot of kind of foundation curriculum such as Ableton Live and Logic Pro Essentials, Pro Tools Essentials. Kind of like a lot of the content is taken from very early weeks of certain modules, just to kind of give you an intro so that you don't go in with minimal knowledge, that you go into a module you already feel a little bit confident about what you're doing. I'd like to point you also to this using the VLE Campus Students, which I have open in a separate tab here. So basically everything that I'm covering today will actually be in using the VLE, and when this stream that you're currently watching now gets saved and archived, it will be visible on YouTube, and it will also be available to view here within introducing the VLE. So I'll just show you that very quickly. I'll click here again. as you can see here is last term's webinar. So this term's will go up and replace that, and you'll be able to watch the stream back here. After you watch this, after this is over, I definitely recommend following all the pages through in using the VLE, just to kind of, you know, back up what's being said today. It would be great if you could go into, you know, next week when you start your lessons feeling quite confident about how to navigate the VLE. Like I say, it's really important that you kind of know this, but obviously that's why we're doing this stream today, to kind of get you up to speed with everything. So let's have a quick look at a couple of the study essentials. I just want to point out in particular ones. I mentioned Ableton Live Essentials earlier. Just to give you an example of the sort of content that's in here. So it's kind of very basic stuff on Ableton. For those of you that are doing an Ableton pathway or a Logic pathway, it's good to kind of, depending on your knowledge of the software, if you've never really used Ableton before but you're going to be studying it here, like definitely have a look at this. As you can see, it's kind of like basic information, a few links as well to help you out. So let's jump back in the study essentials. Yeah, a couple of other things to note in here. Academic writing essentials. This is quite an important one as well. Some of you may be quite experienced with writing essays, others may not have so much experience. That's what this academic writing essentials module is for. So throughout your time here, you will be doing some written assignments, depending on what modules you're doing. You may be doing more than others. And basically, we put together this module to kind of help out with anything essay related. So as you can see, the kind of names, pages here, you've got information on referencing, information on building motivation, which is obviously quite important. It is quite difficult to get motivated to do an essay, but we've got like kind of tips and tricks to help you kind of break down the essay and get started. And there's notes on kind of like how to avoid plagiarism, little tips like that. So academic writing essentials, definitely worth checking out before you start writing any essays for us here. Let me just head back to the study essentials. Element where you have to actually record your own video presentation, and that's why again we put together this module to kind of help out with that, because obviously not everyone's used to doing kind of screen capture and, you know, recording video. So, you know, there's like an instructional video here, a couple of instructional videos actually, and yeah, links to various useful kind of tools. Again, definitely worth checking out. And a couple of other things I want to point out within the study essentials. These bottom two here. Let's jump into point blank talks. So you'll probably be able to benefit from this when you're actually in the school, but we usually have quite a few guest speakers actually come in to our lessons and deliver speeches, and we film them, edit them, and upload them to this area. It's kind of like sort of a TED Talks kind of thing. Like, you know, we get guests to come in and speak about their careers and their experiences in the industry, and they're often like offer advice on how to get jobs. So as you can see, there's a few kind of radio DJs and producers and a couple of kind of like music business people here. Let's have a little click through to show you an example of the page. So they kind of have like a small bio about them, and then here you can kind of watch the videos of their lectures, which have been edited down. So I definitely recommend checking that out if you get time. Okay, one more thing in the study essentials to notice. Essential well-being. This is definitely, you know, really important. Obviously, your well-being is of utmost importance to us here at Point Blank. We want everyone to have a great experience here, and you know, this module kind of offers quite a lot of support and advice, you know, for various, you know, issues, perhaps mental health, discrimination, stuff like that, vocal health as well, physical health. Sitting at your digital audio workstation, I'm quite well versed in this. I've often spent hours in my chair with bad posture, kind of slumped on Ableton for 6 hours. Like, it's definitely not ideal. So we've got advice on like trying to avoid that kind of thing. So yeah, the wellbeing module, definitely worth checking out. Okay, moving on. I'm going to head back to my home here. And next on the list is the essential program information. So let's open this up. Yeah, this kind of contains a lot more sort of factual information, kind of things like the student charter, timetable information, some stuff that's going to be very useful specifically to you London students is kind of like studio access and the kind of rules on that. A lot of kind of like rules and regulation stuff, which is definitely kind of like important to follow, of course. So let's click in the start here, for example. This is the kind of intro to the essential program information. This is definitely very useful as well to check out this page and note all of this down. This has kind of got all the kind of email addresses and phone numbers that you might need when here, kind of like people's roles and stuff. There's my email, for example. So definitely worth checking out the kind of college contacts here. And like, yeah, for example here, information on the college and studio access is available here. This explains the kind of booking. We're going to look into this actually in a little bit, and kind of what studios we have on offer for you to book. You do get to kind of book studio time here. Obviously, that's one of the perks of studying in London. You can see a nice photo of our facilities and kind of like what studios contain what equipment, really. You know, because obviously that's like pretty useful stuff. Just head back to the essential program information. Personal development and employability, I'd like to point you towards as well. And we'll click in there. Personal development plan, study blog, employability, just kind of, and careers advice, general info. This will obviously be more relevant the further down the line you get into the program that you're studying here. But again, this is definitely worth reading. A couple of things actually to check out. We'll just look at these bottom two items on the menu. Program handbooks, depending on what you're studying, this is definitely worth checking out. So for example, if you're studying our BA degree, the program handbook kind of explains, like, has information on all the modules in there, and you can download that. 2018-19, the most up-to-date one, you can download that from here. Probably a good resource to have just tucked away that you can kind of reference as and when you need. And finally, I just want to talk about minutes from committee at point blank, and often if there's any issues that are raised, then we actually hold committees to discuss them, and then we actually act on them, and that's how we kind of improve the whole experience for all the students. So if you're interested, you can check out the kind of minutes from meetings here. Okay, so that's that for essential program information. Next bit is the library. So I'm actually sat in our Penn Street campus at the moment. The library's I think just next door to me, actually, just through that wall there. So we do have a physical library here, and you can like take out books and like read all the books that we have in there. Show you kind of like introduction page on it. Library guidelines as well. There are like rules and stuff. Obviously, don't steal the books, anything like that. And yeah, here's a picture of the library. Nice like artistic shot there. Yeah, we basically, every module will have a reading list. So, you know, obviously, hopefully you're all going to be like very studious here. So it's good to kind of check out the reading list for the module, and then maybe like take out some books and kind of read around the subject. You'll definitely get the most out of your course if you're kind of doing that. We also have electronic journals and journal articles available, and there's some free kind of like unsubscription-based music databases as well. I suppose this library stuff is especially useful when you've got an essay task on, because obviously you're going to be need to be kind of referencing correctly for your assignment. You're going to be need to be using a wide range of sources, so it's definitely worth kind of consulting the library for everything there. Okay, that's that for the library. Next up, we can ignore my online courses because obviously none of you are online students. So let's jump in to my London courses. So this is where you'll be viewing kind of all your actual course content, your notes and everything. So you'll notice this is the landing page. At the top here, we've got two buttons. So booking one-to-one sessions and booking practice time. I'm actually just going to gloss over these for now, and I'll explain these in a little bit, because what we're going to do first is we're actually going to look at the individual module itself and what's within there, and then we'll go back and cover one-to-one sessions and practice time. So you'll see here that I've got like a kind of timetable, and yours probably won't necessarily look the same as this. So this student test account I'm using effectively started last term and is now kind of like on a break and waiting for their second term of studies. You can see here it's got the dates that the term begins. It's got the module as well, the modules that you're studying, and a lot of other great information as well. So you've got the kind of the day and the time that the module will be taking place. You've got the name of the lecturer that will be teaching the module and the location as well. So you can also show and hide the timetable here as so. So it's definitely important before you start to check this out, so you know where you're going for your first lecture. Yeah. So if you don't know where your lesson is going to be, My London Courses, this is the place to look. Okay, and they'll either be taking place in Penn Street or our Orsman Road facility as well. It just so happens that this student's had all theirs at Penn Street so far. So you'll notice they're highlighted different colours, the terms. So this orange bar indicates that this term has actually been completed. So this was the previous January term. And this kind of yellow bar indicates the term that's about to start. So for most of you, you'll be seeing and music composition. So let's dive into a module and see what that looks like. I'm going to pick a previous module, effectively, that this student account has completed, just because it'll be easier to show you all the features that way. So let's go into Introduction to Music Production in Logic, one of the first modules that is on the degree programme. So immediately you'll end up on this schedule page. And this, obviously, you get a note here saying that the course is finished, and you're able to access all the course notes actually for up to 2 years after you've finished completing the module. So that's obviously very useful. As you're going through the programme, you might want to refer back to notes from older modules, and so that's kind of why we archive them for that 2-year period. So let's have a look at the calendar. First off, you'll notice this kind of minus button here. I can actually retract and expand various items on the VLE using these kind of buttons. So for example, I can shrink, expand the calendar just like that. Zero begins in January because this is a past module. And if I hover over a week here, it's quite useful. It tells you what's going on in that week. So you can see this was module information assessments. Week 1 was this was like the introduction to logic. You can see as I hover over it changes, and you can see what's going on each week in advance. Scroll down, you'll notice a few logos here. This is all to do with assignments. So basically this is only flashing up in red because this is, like I say, not a real student account, so obviously there weren't any assignments handed in. Hopefully yours won't look anything like this, because I'm sure you're all going to be wonderful students and hand in your assignments on time and pass correctly, so it should be all good. And you'll see this kind of speech bubble logo down here as well. This denotes that a one-to-one is taking place. So this is in week 11 where you actually have your final one-to-ones with your instructors. Two menus, one in the top left-hand corner here and one in the top right-hand corner here. These are called hamburger menus. I think that's like an internet term because they kind of look like a hamburger, 3 layers. I guess that's what they were getting at with that one. Let's click this to expand it out, and now you can see that I'm actually looking at the syllabus. So this is the bit I'm going to take you through next. So as you can see here, I can actually see module information and assessments, which you'll also be able to see when you log into a module. This is effectively what we call week 0, and this is these are the pages that are available before you start the module. And as you progress through the module, each week will actually reveal itself, so you won't be able to see all the weeks just yet. We kind of do this just to stop people reading ahead. Obviously, it's quite tempting to do that if they're all available, and we kind of want you to learn at the right pace and not jump too far ahead. Hence why we only allow you to access the next week's notes on the Friday before. So for example, on this Friday, week 1 will appear, and you'll be able to look over the notes before you go into your lectures next week. Okay, so module information and assessments. You'll notice these tick marks here as well. So there's a few kind of useful features that were implemented into the VLE to kind of help you navigate it and remember what you've looked over and what you've not. Because obviously there's a lot of pages and it's hard to remember what you've covered and what you've been researching. So these tick marks actually denote the fact that I have viewed these pages already. And if there are any pages that I thought were particularly useful that I wanted to find quickly, so an example might be these assessment briefs here, I can actually click this star logo and that favourites them. And what that does is, rather than just make them visually stand out, it means I can actually click this button here which says show only favourite pages. If I hit that, then only those pages are available. So that can be a really quick way, especially when you get to the end of the module and you've got all these weeks available. that can be a really quick way to kind of navigate through, especially if you've got an assignment and there was one particular bit about, I don't know, like quantizing MIDI that you couldn't quite remember. Maybe you favorited that and you can click this logo and quickly find that page, and it saves you kind of scrolling through all the week's notes, for example, just to get to one page. But I'll unfavorite those for now and reveal all the pages to you. I'm going to take a quick pause actually just to see how my colleagues have been getting on with the questions.
Yeah, all good.
All good?
Quite quiet.
Yeah? Yeah, guys, if you've got any questions, don't be shy. We don't bite. Feel free to kind of jump in and ask away. But yeah, I'll leave the questions in the very capable hands of my colleagues. And so yeah, let's look at this module information assessments section in a little bit more depth. So first of all, every module will have this page, which is the module narrative. This basically has really important information about the module, kind of the whole aims of the module. So worth reading this before you start the module, just to get an idea of what's going on really, rather than just knowing the title. You know, this can kind of give you an idea of the actual content that you're going to be learning. Study hours as well. This is quite a common question we get throughout from students throughout their time here, is how much time should I be spending? It's quite hard, you know, especially if you're studying a degree program, to kind of know how much time you should be spending on things. So here we kind of say a guideline of overall, you know, each module is worth 20 credits, so 200 hours of study. That combines kind of like the class time, private study time as well, which is allocated for you to actually take place in Orsman Road or Penn Street. So you can have like time using the facilities here. And then also, you know, up to 140 hours of independent study. You know, obviously, you know, when you're doing a degree, it's really important that you're putting in, you know, the work kind of behind the scenes effectively if you want to really achieve the top grades. So that's how much we advise. You know, obviously feel free to do more if you feel you've got to do whatever you need basically to achieve good grades, and you know everyone needs to spend a different amount of time on things. But these are guidelines. You know, it's not like, oh, I've only spent 100 hours on I'm falling behind. If you're obviously like talented and are doing the work, then that's fine. Just below this, you'll see the learning outcomes. Each module has a set of learning outcomes, and these are essentially what you're assessed on when you submit your assignments. So it's good to understand what you're going to be assessed on the whole, kind of from the outset, so it's worth reading this. And then the assessment overview as well. I know it seems quite early to be discussing assessments, you know, maybe some of you might be up to like 9-10 weeks away that you're handing in your assessments. I think the sooner that you've kind of got it in the back of your mind when your assessments are going to be and what they're going to be about, the better, because it kind of informs your learning throughout the module if you know, like, you know what you especially really need to be focusing on in order to do well in the assessments. So for this module, Introduction to Music Production Logic, or ITP Logic for short, you can see that it's a coursework-based module made up of 70% of it is a composition and the other 30% is a 750-word written commentary. This bit denotes which learning outcomes you'll be assessed on, and yeah, it's crucial that you complete your assignment tasks on time so the lecturer can grade them. Of course, it kind of goes without saying, really. A note here as well, which is important, is that if you fail an assignment task, you actually are allowed to resubmit it in week 11, which is usually, most assignments are handed in week 9, some of them earlier, but that gives you, if they're a week 9 assignment, then it gives you 2 weeks to kind of hand them in. So obviously, ideally, you won't fail the assessment first time, because that happens, you will get a chance to resubmit, so it's not going to fail straight away. But the problem is that when you resubmit, you're actually capped at 40%, which obviously isn't ideal. You want to be achieving higher grades than that. We don't want you to scrape a pass. We want you to do as best as you possibly can. So yeah, definitely worth checking out this module narrative though, just to get an idea of what's going on in the module. Program levels as well. Let's check this out. This just kind of shows you kind of an overview for the entire degree. So this is, yeah, the production and sound engineering degree, and scroll down here, and this is the music production and DJ practice degree here. And yeah, this shows you what modules you need to complete, and there's a few things to note. You basically have to pass all modules to progress on to the next level. Sorry, 1 second. Hay fever kicking in. It's that time of year, it's a nightmare. It's nice and sunny, but like, well, apart from today, but it comes with a price for me. Yeah, so basically you make sure that you pass all modules for each year to get on to the next advance through the program. Obviously we do our utmost to kind of give you support to help you pass. Next up, I'm going to click here on the recommended reading list. I mentioned this earlier when I was discussing the library. So yeah, the recommended reading list is kind of really important to check that out before the module as well. And we often offer you some online resources as well that are free that will be related to the module. So worth clicking through there. The next thing I'm going to show you is an assessment brief page. So these are located in week 0. So you can already view these now and get an idea of what your assessments are going to be like. So important to kind of understand this really. And it might not make sense until you get a bit further into the module because obviously some of the techniques you won't know yet. So here you'll see the assessment brief, which obviously you need to follow to a T really if you want to achieve the top marks. Learning outcomes are down here. Submission checklist, again, so important to follow this. A lot of the time, sometimes people miss stuff out from the submission checklist, and that's usually if they leave assessments to the last minute and hand it in a bit of a panic. So we honestly want you to try and avoid that. I know it's difficult. Throughout my time at university, I had a few last minute scares, but like I felt a lot better when I didn't, and I planned in advance. So definitely advise that. Yeah, one other thing to note about the assessments is you can see the hand-in deadline is up here. It's clearly labelled, and yeah, the deadline's always Sunday at 11:50 PM. Obviously, we would like you. So I'm just going to open that up in a new tab very quickly and show you an example. This is what your lecturers will be using to mark your work. Oh, I've clicked the wrong thing. That's what I want, the criteria grading grid. So yeah, this is what these instructors or lecturers will be using to mark your work. As you can see, it's tested by each learning outcome, and there's different bands that you'll fall in, which are your marks. Obviously, if you want to achieve the top marks, you need to be kind of hitting these. So, for example, this one, recording, editing, and processing MIDI, fluent demonstration, MIDI recording, editing, and programming. So, you need to be, in your lecturer's eyes, you need to be achieving this in order to get the top grade. It's good to know what they're marking you on when you submit an assignment, just so you kind of know what the boundaries are really and what kind of level you should be at, or at least have some indication of what kind of level you should be at. We're going to have a look at submitting assignments in a little bit actually, but we'll come back to that. I'd like to show you quickly what the course notes look like. So I'm going to jump into week 1 here. Often there'll be downloadable resources at the start of the week. So once the notes become available, these resources will also become available. So for example, in ITP, you can see here there's a bunch of kind of loops and samples that you can download. So these will obviously help you kind of get through the week's work, especially in your own time and in class as well. So all our computers in the college as well have these resources on as well. So it's more for like when you go home, you can download the same resources as well. So you can carry on work you were doing in the college, for example. So let's look at what a page of course notes look like. Now these are designed to kind of supplement your learning. It's a good idea after you've had a lecture here or like a lesson with your lecturer to go home and kind of check out and read through the notes just to make sure you really understand what was covered, and you can work on these in your own time. So yeah, all the course notes are here. Some of them are just kind of text. A lot of them kind of have pictures. There's occasional video as well. You can see here, this is just kind of an intro guide to logic with just some useful information. Just so you don't have to like keep it all in your head, and remember everything that was said during a lecture. You can actually refer back to these notes. Alright, so that's that for this side, this menu on this side. Let's go over to the left-hand side menu, which we haven't taken a look at yet. So this is what we call the VLE tools menu. So I'll just expand that out for you now. The schedule page we've already looked at. That was the landing page we first landed on. I'm going to jump into the assignments section very quickly. So this will show. This is kind of a broad overview of your assignment schedule. As you can see here, hopefully it won't look like this for any of you because this this test account effectively, because it was a test account, obviously didn't submit assignments and has actually failed everything. So we really hope that doesn't happen to you. But I'll show you how to submit an assignment. So basically you head here into this assignment section and then say we were in week 9 and we needed to submit our composition. I will click here and it brings up this page. You'll notice it's got all the information we had before with the brief and the learning outcomes and the submission checklist. So you read through this all before you submit again. It's so important to get it right. The difference with this page is this element down here, which will allow you to upload your assignment. Obviously here it says assignment overdue, you haven't submitted the assignment on time because this is a kind of finished module. But like for you guys, it will actually say there'll be a option here to like upload your assessment. So you'll click that and upload usually a zip file containing your assessment. One important thing to note how the assessment uploads work. If you initially upload something, say you've got to submit a project and an audio mixdown, and you upload just the audio mixdown. Now obviously you're going to be like, oh whoops, I've uploaded only the mixdown, I need to upload both parts. What you'll need to do is zip everything together and actually upload both parts, because that will overwrite what was already there. So you can't just upload the mixdown and then be like, oh, I need to add the project to it and then just upload the project, because rather than adding the project to it, the project will actually overwrite the mixdown and then you'll still only have part of an assignment. So every time, if you need to re-upload something because you've forgotten part of it, you'll need to zip everything back together again and upload the entire assessment all together. It's really important because it could catch you out potentially if you forget that. So it's definitely worth making a note of that. We don't want anyone kind of like losing marks for anything like that. You know, it's kind of silly marks to lose stuff like that. So, like I say, really check the submission checklist up here that you've got. This, for example, is actually a project and an audio file. So yeah, I can't stress how important that is really. So, below assignments, we have our announcements page here. So, this is basically a facility for lecturers and staff to communicate directly with all of you in the class. It's kind of like a one-way system. So, I'll show you the forum in a little bit. That's where you guys can actually interact with your lecturers as well. But for example, let's have a look at an example announcement post. This is one from Ollie actually, that he posted a couple of weeks ago. Just again, this is the kind of thing that pops up. It's just advice on the, you know, saying that there's going to be maintenance of the VLE. It's just little useful bits of information that are posted by lecturers and staff alike. So it's definitely worth having your notifications turned on for this, because then you'll get notified every time someone makes an announcement. I'm going to look at one-to-one tutorials in a bit. Let's go into the forum because that's kind of, you know, somewhat related to announcements. It's kind of similar. Just wait for that to load up here. So here you can see the forum. So the one's not very active for some reason. I wonder if some of the posts have maybe been deleted actually. Usually there'll be like lots of posts in the forum, and you know, maybe your lecturer will post things, and you can also post stuff yourself with students. Maybe anything like, hey, like I've just been working this track, I want some feedback. It's a great idea to kind of do that thing, and then your peers can kind of answer stuff, or like if there's any issues you can also post them here, or like your instructor will be able to answer them. You just create a new thread by clicking up there. Class list as well. As you can see here, this is a list of the lecturer, and it's got all the names of people in the class. You can see the green indicates that I'm online. I'm Joe Blogs, and I'm online. For some reason here, there's 2 of everyone. So I don't know quite what's happened here, but everyone's been cloned or something from this class. So I don't know what's going on there, but that won't happen in any of your modules. Maybe because this is an old module or something. But yeah, okay. I'm just going to take a quick pause again to consult with my colleagues, see if there's anything come through.
We've had a few little messages.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everything's
Everything's
control. Everyone seems like they know what they're doing.
Good stuff. Glad to hear it. Yeah. So kind of getting towards the end now. I just want to discuss one-to-one tutorials basically. So there are 2 different types of one-to-one tutorials here. There's your week 11 tutorials, and then your kind of bookable one-to-ones. So let's click through and take a look at the week 11 tutorials here. So this page here kind of has a guide to everything. Sorry, 1 second. Good old hay fever, love it. Yeah, this is a guide on how to kind of book a one-to-one session. So these are kind of like the week 11 tutorials. These take place with your lecturer who taught your module at the end of the module, and it's just kind of a chance for you to kind of tie up any loose ends and kind of like ask any questions, you know, kind of going forward. And what you can do is you can actually upload stuff here. You might upload a project that you're working on, and then your lecturer will kind of, you can book the session with your lecturer, and they'll be able to kind of go through that with you here. Actually, let's just dive in to this interaction section. So I've gone to the I've just jumped into the using the VLE section here. And let's look at the final week 1-to-1 tutorials. That's what we're discussing now. Again, you'll find information on how to book a tutorial here. You'll see there's a nice animated GIF or GIF. Controversial how you pronounce it. Big controversy in the office on how you pronounce that, by the way. Yeah, but that's kind of there showing you how you would book a 1-to-1 tutorial. Your instructor will basically put slots up for you to book into, basically. As you can see here, there are slots there that the student has been booking, and then just click book a slot. There we go. Let that load, and then back into the interaction section. And then the second type of 1-to-1 tutorial is your weekly 1-to-1 tutorials. So again, all the information on this is on this page, but I'll just run through it quickly now. So yeah, let's jump back in to my view up here as a student. So if I go back to my London courses where we were a few minutes ago, you'll remember I kind of glossed over this, and this is because I wanted to explain it in a bit more in depth now. Basically, on this actual account, I won't be able to book 1-to-1s because currently it's not an active week at the college at the moment. So like if I was to click through here, it wouldn't work. It will do once the course has started and slots become available. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you on here. We've taken screenshots for everything, and this is how it would kind of work. So again, you can see that book 1-to-1 sessions, the book practice time buttons there. You click that, and then then this would kind of pop up showing all the available lecturers and what slots they have available. So basically the idea of these weekly 1-to-1s is to kind of get advice from lecturers who actually aren't teaching you. So it might be something like, perhaps if you're doing ITP and you nearly finished the track that you're going to submit, maybe you want a little bit of mixing advice. So what these tutorials allow you to do is actually book in with a mixing lecturer, and you may not have met before, it might be a good chance to meet them. And then you could actually maybe like discuss mixing, or for example, if maybe outside of the college, you've got like something going on, like you've got a track that you want to get released by a label, perhaps you could book a tutorial with a music industry lecturer who'd be able to give you advice on that. So they're kind of like designed to kind of supplement your learning here. We've got a lot of like wonderful instructors, lecturers who have got great experience in the industry, and it's really worth like booking time with them to just kind of discuss anything you may want to. So yeah, you get a half an hour slot each week, basically. That's the kind of allocation. So as you can see here, this student has chosen to book a session with Linton Bennett. If you want to know what each instructor's specialities are, you can kind of hover over. You see, for example, Max here. He's a mixing kind of lecturer. He teaches advanced recording and mixing and art of mixing, so mixing advice, he'd be the guy to go to. Yeah, and basically, once you select your time, you'll be able to book the 1-to-1 session. You can see here, you can select the slots that the lecturer is available for, click OK, and then back, and then click book 1-to-1 to book that session. One last thing that I want to discuss is booking the practice time as well. So we have our studios available to you for you to book out. I'm going to bring up a PDF that I've got here quickly, just to show you what booking the practice time looks like. Because again, obviously studios aren't available at the moment, so I can't demonstrate that to you. So yeah, once you click book practice time, you'll be brought through to this screen where you can see on this column all the studios that are available and the times they're available at. Yeah, each studio has different things. Obviously, for example, like Studio 4 is like speakers, so maybe you want to use that to listen to mix. You've got the vocal booth, you want to record vocals. Again, it's a similar thing. You click that, the time slots appear, and make sure that when you've selected your slots, that you click this Book Studios button in the bottom right. So this will become available to you once your lessons begin in week 1. So let me just minimise this for a second. Okay, so we're nearly there actually. One last thing I want to show to you is a video that was made by an assessment process and also a little bit more of our support network here at Point Blank. So I'm just going to play that for you now, and then once that finishes, I will jump back in and we'll round things off. So here's the video.
Hi there, my name is Ollie Lloyd and I work in the Education Department here at Point Blank alongside my colleagues Bryony and Lavinia. We are here to help and support you through with all aspects of your studies. If you have any questions at all, please contact us at support@pointblankmusicschool.com and we will help you out in any way that we can. This video is here to help provide some really useful information that will help you throughout your time with us. Students at Point Blank have the option to choose between an accredited and auditing pathway. If you are studying on one of our accredited courses validated by Middlesex, then it is essential that you engage with and pass each one of your modules. Throughout each of your modules, your engagement will be tracked by the education team, and should you fall below an acceptable threshold, then you will be contacted by email requesting you to access the VLE and engage more with the course. Should you fail a module, then this is taken into account in relation to the Middlesex resubmission policy. You must pass all modules. If you don't, then you won't be able to progress onto the next level of your studies. If you are studying on a Cert HE or a DIP HE, then your Level 4 module grades will all be taken into account when calculating your overall grade. However, if you are studying on the BA, then your Level 4 modules do not count towards your overall grade, but you must still pass. If you are studying on one of our practical pathways, i.e. not accredited by Middlesex, then it is not compulsory for you to submit your assignments. We strongly suggest that you do to gain valuable feedback from our incredible instructors. Your certification is based on your engagement with the course. However, there will be no negative impact on this if you were to not submit your work. We strongly recommend that you read each of your assignment briefs as early in the term as possible to avoid any potential issues after the deadline. It is important you are aware of when each of your deadlines are. Certain modules have a submission deadline in week 5, so please take the time to find out when these are. If you're on the accredited pathway, then you must pass each module. Should you fail, you will be automatically notified by the VLE and will have the ability to resubmit in week 11. This will be capped at 40%. Please do not resubmit under the original submission page as your instructor will not be notified. And please resubmit in the dedicated section in week 11. Each of your grades will need to go through moderation and assessment boards, which take place in week 12 of each term. Your grades will not be released until this has taken place, and you will be automatically notified by the VLE once this has been completed. We completely understand that life sometimes gets in the way. If you have anything that will hinder your ability to submit on time, please reach out to the Education Department as early as possible so that we can make the relevant adjustments. We must always adhere to Middlesex guidelines, so each case will be dealt with on a case-by-case basis and must always be accompanied by evidence. Should evidence not be provided, we will not be able to accept any extension requests. Any issues with technology or work commitments will also not be accepted, and failure to submit will result in your grade being capped at 40%. If you feel that you will not be able to complete your studies for the time being, you do have the option to temporarily interrupt for up to 2 years. Please get in touch with support who will be able to organise this for you. If you are struggling, we do have a free counselling service available who can be contacted through wellbeing@pointblankmusicschool.com. Further details can be found under our Study Essentials / Essential Wellbeing module, which can be found under your My Home page. Communication at Point Blank is key. It is imperative that whilst you are studying here, that all your contact information is up to date on your profile. Please also make sure that your announcement notifications are on, as instructors and staff post in these regularly, with really important information and often opportunities that you wouldn't want to miss out on. As a student of Point Blank, you will have access to all of your course notes on the VLE for 2 years after you conclude your studies with us, subject to if course fees have been paid in full. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us at support@pointblankmusicschool.com. Thanks for listening.
Okay, so thank you to Ollie for that wonderful video. And yeah, so that's about it from us really. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and obviously we wish you the best of luck with your time here. Yeah, so feel free to email that address. Whoever's answering it will be more than happy to help out with any inquiries that you may have. And a couple final reminders, this stream is actually being archived both on YouTube, and then the link will also be copied and pasted right here on this Introducing the VLE page. I've shown it before, but I just want to make sure that I'll show it again, just to make you fully aware of where it's going to be. So it's this page, Introducing the VLE, and then Introducing the VLE again on this page. Alright guys, so yeah, thank you very much, and goodbye and good luck with your studies.
Thank you.
Lovely. There we go. All right, see you later, everyone.